Hey, it's Travis, and I'm with Jeff Tussey, the manager of the Finishing Lab, and all things trials here at Air Power. Jeff, we just got a podcast wrapped up a little while ago, and we got to thinking about something we wanted to talk about. You're known in Air Power for one of the top 2 highest visited social media posts and ever, all time. And one of those is the Biggs pressure pot. Mm-hmm. You just did a little demo with a Biggs pressure pot. I think you were like pressurizing it and then depressurizing it.
Pretty much, yes, right. Starting it up and yes,
super simple.
Yes, how to shut
super quick.
Shut it down. Yes.
All right, or like 10,000 a year, something like that. Number of visits. So when we were talking about that in the podcast, it came up to where we were mentioning a topic about hot potting versus 2K. And 2K proportioning, metering, mixing systems, more of an automated, approach to mixing. And you and I decided that it would probably be a good idea to go through and discuss that, just for the sake of anybody who's watching or anybody who could take advantage of this. So let's handle the topic: hot potting versus 2K or metering, proportioning. Okay. Now, a downfall that I can think of right away that people out there are going to combat with is, man, it's so expensive.
Yes.
This hot pot, I've already got it, or it's pretty cheap. It's pretty inexpensive to get into. I don't know what a pressure pot costs these days.
Less than $1,000.
Yeah, so you're $500 to $1,000 depending on what size, with everything you need for it, versus a 2K, which might be at
starting at 25.
Yeah, starting at 25K or 2,500.
25,000.
Just so that they know.
Yes.
That's why we're making sure.
Good call.
So now, that might be a huge step for somebody. And ideally, if somebody is watching this that is from a small shop, that's going to be cost prohibitive, possibly. But let's talk about the benefits or the differences between those two worlds, hot potting versus, let's just call it 2K.
Right.
And you and I have gone through here some things that we talked about that we think should be addressed. So one of those is when you've got a system like that, you've got, what are the components?
As far as
what's coming through the paint mixing system.
Got you. Obviously, you have your A, which is a resin, right, and then your B, which is your catalyst.
Resin and catalyst. The catalyst is what?
The catalyst is what is going to help, or not really help, but it's going to be in charge of curing the paint.
Is the catalyst the carrier of VOC?
Catalyst is the hot stuff, yes. Yeah. It's the hot stuff. It's probably the most expensive too. So you want to be, that's another reason why we want to be very mindful.
And it has a very limited life, correct?
Correct. How you handle it is very important.
Once it's exposed.
Once it's exposed, yes. So there's some very delicate ways we want to handle that, right, to maximize.
So in a hot potting world where, John Doe has to take resin, paint, mm-hmm, catalyst, mix, put into the pressure pot, the minute he has mixed that,
yes,
and the minute he's actually exposed the catalyst, you now have a lifespan.
Right. He's already, they're little things, but they add up.
Right.
He's exposed that catalyst to air. He's exposed to that catalyst first and foremost.
The catalyst starts to react.
It starts to react. So the more we can keep that away from that air and exposed to that air, the better off we are.
Yep.
Yes.
So we've introduced a death spiral.
Yes.
Once we start handling and expose it to air. So with a paint metering system, mixing system like a 2K, basically that catalyst is kept under wraps all the time.
All the time.
When it's coming through the line and it's mixing with the resin, like extruding or whatever, when it's kind of being pushed
Goes
together.
into, yes.
And when it leaves the gun, at that point is when it's first exposed.
Yes.
And so now you have more life to do what you need to do,
Where you've increased your pot
and
life.
then when it shuts off, the only thing that remains is what's in the line.
That's what's in the line. Yes, mix on demand.
Mix
yes.
on demand, and that can be flushed out in a gun flush box or something, and that's your waste.
Yes.
And depending on how many times you're changing
Colors
will
determine how much
is
waste
you
you
determine the waste
generate.
for the day. Versus hot potting, somebody fills up fills it up.
And you have to use that batch. That's
Yes.
you make that batch, you use it or lose it. So if there's any downtime,
Yep.
regardless of the situation,
Something goes down, something goes wrong down the line.
you're using it
And-
or you're losing it.
Yep. And so you might end up throwing, a gallon or half a gallon, however much they made
Yes.
up for the day.
Right.
You're going to throw it away. Exposed to, and I'm sure this changes from batch to batch, or from catalyst to catalyst, but what's the lifespan of a catalyst once it's been fully exposed?
Again, depending on how hot it is, I mean, once it's been exposed, it's going to start crystallizing fairly quick. I've seen some in minutes. I've seen some take hours.
Okay.
Again, it just depends on how much it is exposed to the air, how hot the catalyst is, but it's starting
You got to
immediately.
be ready to go.
You got to be ready to go.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Well, we just talked about controlling paint waste. It's basically the same, the paint and the catalyst. But paint waste, is there anything else we want to address?
Paint waste, obviously, it's costly. It's costly in two ways. You bought the paint. That paint is yours. You want to use it, and then you got to pay to get rid of it.
Yep.
So if you flush out
And account
excessively-
for it.
yeah, you got to account for it, and it costs to get rid of it. So
Okay.
it's hitting you more than once.
So, paint mixing accuracy. When you are hot potting, you're relying on
You're relying on
cups or measuring cups, scoops that people are literally scooping
and the human eye.
the human eye, correct,
And-
which we know can be
Yes. And what kind of day that
Faultful.
Right. What kind of mood am I in that day?
that's right.
Have I had a bad day? Have I had a good day?
And how quick you're rushing to get
Yes.
something done.
Right.
Shortcuts happen.
The 2K is going to have a plus or minus. We can get it down to 2% accurate, 1%. So
Okay.
yes. So the mix accuracy is going to be much finer than
Correct.
hot potting.
And the when you're talking about 2K, what is the ratios that we can do in something like that?
Depending on the machine, a lot of common ratios are 4-to-1, 5-to-1, but I've seen some 50-to-1s. There's a machine out there. We have one in our lab right now that can do 100-to-1. So
Gotcha.
we've got your range covered.
So are they all falling under 2K, or do we have other?
This it could be a 2K. Yes,
Okay.
it's just depending on again what brand it is.
2K
high pressure, low pressure. There's
So
yes
2K is literally two components.
two components, and its reason is K. Just for people that don't know, the 2K process started in Germany, and they spell components with the K.
All right.
So
Good to know.
that's where the K comes in.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So you hear other terms like 3K would be able to handle three components.
We can do 3K as well.
So 3 components would be what?
3 components is exactly what it is. 3 materials, but I may have a paint and a catalyst just like my 2K, but I take that mixture, and sometimes depending on hot environment, cold environment, I may need to add another accelerator
Okay.
to my mixed material, or a lubricant, whatever. So there's lots of differences, but you're adding a third material to your, most of the time you're mixing A and B first, and then you got your mixed A and B, and then you're adding that third leg.
And so you're buying the paint, you know
Yes.
what it is, and you know it's going to require a 3-component process
Yes.
to delivery system. Okay. Something that we talked about on another podcast, we filmed one recently, and this comes up all the time. If you can repeat something in your process, and you can repeat it over and over again, you can zero in on that and the other things around it and increase your profitability.
Right, you just eliminated the margin per area.
Repeatability
Yes.
equals profitability. I hope it's up there right now.
Yes.
Repeatability equals profitability. And that is something you truly get from a 2K
Yes.
versus the hot potting source.
Procedure. Yes.
Plus, if you got your 2K set up, you've got multiple paints that can be coming in, multiple resins.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're only using one color.
That's exactly right.
You have multiple colors coming in, but you can only just grab one of those colors at a time to marry with the catalyst to shoot. So you're talking about another thing that we talk about all the time is JIT, being able to spray on the fly. You and I have been at plants together where
Yes.
there are like 9 spray guns lined up. And they're having to go back and hang up this gun and grab another gun and, make sure it's coming out right. And then they
Yes.
start spraying with it, and they got to go back.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, they have all these guns they have to clean, if they clean them,
Yes.
and you take that times like 10 stations, the wear and tear on all these different guns that are shooting the same thing, most of them, just different colors.
Yes. A lot of ways.
Versus now you can take a look at a 2K and you can get that set up where you have it shooting through one gun. You might have a gun flush box.
It can be a manual color change, automatic color change.
Yep.
We can
And
automate
now you
that
can,
as much as the customer
you can
wants.
just switch, clean out, purge,
All
literally move a
mashing
couple
a button,
things,
turning a switch.
boom,
Yes.
and you're right on to the next color. So, all right, man, I think we covered that pretty well today. Hot potting versus proportioning or metering or 2K. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If you want to catch more videos, airpowerlive.com or a number. We're into our 3rd season of podcasts at airwaves.com. We look forward to talking to you soon, and I'm going to say goodbye.